This is a perfect afternoon. I love it so much. Just wish I had a hammock out here. It just kind of swing and sleep. So perfect. Listen to that sound. Oh, Staghorn Fern's getting a good watering today. So is everything else. I love it. Oh. Hi, friends. Hope you're having a great day today. I have had a pretty good week back at work after surgery. That went well. It was busy, so I'm glad to see another weekend get here. But it's Saturday today, and I'm off to a good start. I had a working breakfast at Tudor's Biscuit World, which is as wonderful as it sounds. And so I was working on some ideas for videos down the road. And then I had a little trip to Hobby Lobby. Got some fabric for a little project I have going on, or will have going on. And now I'm sitting on the porch to do this video. It's pretty outside. It's hot in the direct sun. So I've kind of pulled the table back up under the porch. And the sun's gone behind a cloud for now. So that's nice. And I'm going to enjoy that while I can. But, and you're propped up on a little um, plant dish thing. So sorry that you're wiggling a little bit. That's me. But I hope you've had a good week and you're enjoying your weekend. Um, I have the big thing for me this week is that book 3, which I have finished, and my parents proofread and got back to me, um, is now with a guy at Fiverr who does formatting for Amazon and also book covers and things like that. And so he's got that now, and I'm hoping that this week that book can be published. So I will keep you posted on that. It's a big deal for me. I've been working on this book exclusively off and on for the last 6 years since I published the last one, which I can't believe it's been 6 years. But I actually got the idea for it, or part of the idea for it, when I was writing the first book in the series, and that was 2010. So that's 13 years ago. It's way too long, but you know, here we are. But I'm excited to be done with it for lots of reasons. But I'm also glad that I didn't give up on it. You know, it shouldn't have taken 13 years, but there have been things going on, and life happens, and sometimes you just have to put stuff down because you just can't face it for a little while. And that's what I did with that book several times over the last 13 years. Just put it down, went to something else, and but it's always there in the back of my mind, you know. So, and I've moved on and started writing some other things, but that's always just been kind of back there, like something left undone, because that's what it was. So I want to encourage you, if you have something like that that has been important to you, but also been overwhelming to you, um, to find some time, take some time, and maybe work on getting it finished. Maybe just do a little bit, move you along a little, but don't give up on it. If it's something that's been important and it still is important to you, don't give up. It doesn't matter how long it's taken. Um, if you believe God orders your life, then you believe things happen in the right time. even though to you and to me it might look like a chaotic mess. And how could this be anybody's timeline? you know, but God knows, and God uses um, the gifts that we offer to Him, whatever that may be. And so don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on that thing that you have been wanting to do that's been in your heart. Just go ahead and do it. Get it done. Because it'll feel good. I'm telling you, it feels good. um, if it's done fast enough, which I think it might be, I'm going to enter it in a contest for self-published authors. Self-published authors. Say that 3 times fast. So anyway, we'll see. If it's not finished in time, it's okay. But I kind of hope it will be. And, just going to fling it out there and see what happens. So that's one thing, honestly, this year that I have worked on is not worrying about what if, or what if it's not good enough, or what if it could be better, or whatever. I think at some point you just have to do what you need to do, and I think we can all look back on things and say, well, I could have done that a little bit better, or I could have made that prettier, or I could have said that differently. And depending, you can give it to 5 people to look at for you, and they'll have 5 different opinions on things that you could change. So at some point, you have to not get bogged down in that, and you just have to say, you know what, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to see what feedback I get. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to enjoy the process and enjoy the experience and not worry about the outcome. If I don't win, if I don't place, if I don't do anything in this contest, nobody's life is on the line. Nobody's going to die. Bad things will not happen, At the very least, I'll get some feedback from a judge. I can always use that. So I say that to say, don't let fear hold you back. Don't let thoughts of not being good enough hold you back. You do your best, you put it out there, you see what happens, and you go on and to the next thing. Because there's always the next thing. And when you can do that, it takes so much pressure off of you. You can just enjoy the process. For me, it's enjoying writing, and it's enjoying seeing that book finally get put into, paperback form and out there for people to read, and knowing that that part is done, and I finished it, and I pushed through, and I got to the end, and now I can go on to the next thing. So whatever it is for you, don't let fear hold you back. Don't think, well, it's too late, I've waited too long. It doesn't have to be for anybody else. Just let it be for you. Let yourself have the satisfaction of finishing that thing, whatever it is. And then just see what God does with it, And if it's nothing more than just your own satisfaction and pleasure of finishing something and having it done, that's enough. That's a good thing. That's a gift from God. So take it for what it's worth. So anyway, I'll keep you posted about that. I was hoping to get that done and finished before I went to my writer's retreat the second weekend of June. So that's going to be done, and I'm glad about that. Today, I wanted to talk about saving for a rainy day, but not in the way you think. Not only in the way you think. I found this book. It's called Vintage Notions, an inspirational guide to needlework, cooking, sewing, fashion, and fun. And it's broken down into 12 sections, one per month. And it just focuses on all kind of stuff. And it really is like good old-fashioned advice and inspiration. And I'm loving it. I'm loving going through it. And I saw this, I was just kind of flipping through it the other day, and I read this part, and I thought, oh, that would be something great to talk about. Um, the lady that wrote a lot of the the stuff in this book is named Mary Brooks Picken, and she lived in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and you have to look her up. She has an amazing history, and she did a lot of stuff for a woman in that time when women just weren't doing many things out of the house. But she did, and she's written a lot of things. There's a, in the section for, I think this is March, I can't remember. Anyway, but she's written, well, she has this little calendar quote that she says she has on her desk. And it says, "Whate'er the hidden future brings is helped by hands divine. Through all the tangled web of things, there runs a clear design. What though the skies are dark today, tomorrow's may be blue. When every cloud has rolled away, God's providence shows through." I love that. And one of the things that she says in here is, "I do actually hold that clouds roll away, that good is more powerful than evil, and in every circumstance, good will eventually assert itself. I say always that sincere desire is unworded prayer, and that if we are earnest and have an honest purpose, our prayer will be answered. Every day is ours to mold as we will. If we waste it in idle wishing, we must pay. If we build for the future by being faithful to our desires, we lay paving stones that make a safer and more comfortable road for the rest of our lives." I love that. And that is kind of the basis for the saving for a rainy day thing. It's not just having some money in the bank for when something goes wrong. That's part of it. But it's so much more, and I love the idea of it. So I want to read to you a couple more things that she says. "I used to think that laying aside funds for a rainy day meant only money. But I've learned that there are several kinds of rainy day funds. Knowledge of any constructive kind, any educational or human hobby is a rainy day fund. It makes life interesting, develops appreciation, and teaches us the virtues of fidelity to honest purpose. Pioneering children along life's pathway establishes at least a contented heart with which to visit on rainy days, just as one does being a good neighbor. Every day we should accomplish something in a constructive way. Study, work, thinking, they all help roll the clouds of unappreciation away and let God's providence shine through. I heard a wise old philosopher say, if you want to keep young, don't let your troubles settle in your knees. Sure, and you can tell the unhappy women by the way they lift their feet. There's no spring in their knees. They drag themselves about, no force within a moving them. The force within must be one's very own heart. Don't put weights on your knees. Keep your heart young and free and happy. Look for the good in people, in conditions, in surroundings. Learn to explore a little deeper into the soul of man. Interest yourself in the heart next to you, and your own troubles will melt away like icicles in the sunshine." Isn't that beautiful? I was thinking about how sometimes, rainy days come in all shapes and sizes, don't they? Sometimes you can have just this nice gentle rain, or even a bit of a hard rain, but there's no storm with it really. It's just rain, and you can sit outside and feel the breeze from it and just listen to the sound of it and just feel yourself relaxing. It's wonderful. And then other times it comes in a storm, a bad storm, and there's lightning and thunder and wind that knocks things over, and it's a little more scary. And sometimes that fear is worse depending on where you are. If you're home and inside your safe house, that's one thing. If you're in your car and the rain's coming down so hard you can't see the road, that's a whole different level of fear, But rainy days come, and not just weather-wise, but sometimes just in our soul. Don't you every once in a while just kind of have a rainy day in your soul and you just feel like you just can't grab onto anything, you know? Like you just feel like you're floundering out there. And, you know, you might feel sad, you might feel very depressed, whatever it is. Or sometimes you just think, man, when was the last time I just really had fun? When was the last time I did something that made me laugh, you know? Or did something for someone that just made me feel really good inside. And those are the kinds of things I think that she's talking about that we need to pay attention to. We all know people who just seem to not have any resistance or resilience. When something happens, it just knocks them off their feet. Sometimes that's just not having good coping skills. Sometimes it's just not having anything put aside for a rainy day. You know, they haven't invested in friendships or their family. So when things are bad, they don't have anyone to call. There's no one to say, you know, hey, I just need to talk for a few minutes. You know, are you free? Or, you know, let's go grab something to eat. Or can you come to my house and just, you know, I just need someone to sit with me for a little bit. And there's just not that reserve because they haven't invested in any of those relationships. And also, I think I love what she says in here. Knowledge of any kind, educational or human hobby, all of those things are rainy day funds. When you have things that you can invest your time and yourself in, whatever that hobby may be, and you know, people have all kind of weird hobbies, so it doesn't have to be some of the things that you would normally think about, but just what is it that you like to do? What gives you joy when you put your hand to it? I love the saying, get out of your head and get into your hands. Because when your mind is spinning or you feel depressed or whatever, if you can get yourself into your hands, sewing something, painting something, writing something, planting something, building something, cooking something, whatever it is you do that gives you pleasure and gives you joy, especially if it's something you can share with somebody, you know, making food and taking it to somebody, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of things that shore us up for rainy days. And I think about, too, like picture albums, photo albums. Every year, my sister and my mom and my niece and I go on a girls' trip. If you hear that high-pitched dolphin sound, that's Riley whining. Wants to go inside. Hold on. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, girls' trip every year. I take tons of pictures, and at the end of the trip, I send them to Shutterfly, and then they come back to me and I stick them in an album. So I can go look back, and I have done this recently, at pictures from trips that we've done in the past. And it's amazing. I love pictures like that because it's amazing how much stuff you forget that you think, oh, I'll never forget that. And then you look at a picture and you think, oh, I haven't thought about that in ages. But those kinds of things, to me, bank those good memories for rainy days, you know? So if you're like during the pandemic and COVID when nobody was traveling, you can pull those out and remember trips and plan, you know, another trip for when we're all allowed to travel again, which we are now. But those kinds of things are important. So not just investing money, that's important. It's important to have some savings in there in case something breaks or, you know, you need a little extra something for somebody or for yourself. When life happens, you know, that rainy day fund is important. But let's think about other kinds of funds. You know, are we opening our minds? Are we feeding our minds and our souls and our intellects, so that on days that are not so good or times that are not so good, we have something to look back on and touch base with and draw from, so we don't feel so empty and so lost and out there by ourselves. Scripture memory is such a good one, isn't it? Have you ever been in a situation and thought, I know there's a verse that speaks just to this, but I can't remember what it is? I do that all the time. And, you have to be careful that you don't tell yourself you're too old to memorize Scripture. We're not. It might take us a little bit longer, but we're not too old to do it. And, the verse that says, thy word have I hid in my heart, that I may not sin against God. That's saving it for a rainy day. God knew that. He knew we would need to have Scripture and His words in our hearts and in our souls just to survive daily life, If we don't have our Bible there with us, we need to be able to pull that up, those verses that are so meaningful to us. And so I encourage you, I'm trying to do that a lot this year, more than I have in a while, especially verses about freedom and living in God's grace, trying to memorize those best I can. And so I've written them down, and I look at them and I say them, and trying to get in the habit of reciting them on a regular basis, so I can draw from that rainy day fund when I need to. You can probably think of some other things too, I would imagine, that are good to just look back on. Those little projects that we do, when we push ourselves, or when we complete something that we didn't think we could do, or that was really hard, or that we just didn't really want to do but we needed to. There's something about having a store of those kinds of things that we can look back on when things get hard and say, you know what, I've done it hard. I've done hard before. I can do it again. I don't like it, but I can do it. And it's not going to get the best of me, and I'm not going to fall apart with this. This is hard. Yep, I've done hard before, and I'm going to do it again. Those kind of rainy day funds are so important. So I encourage you this week to just kind of keep this in mind and be, maybe be aware a little bit more of what you're doing during the day, and the things that you focus on, and what kind of rainy day funds you want to have in your storehouse. Remember, I love this line, study, work, thinking, they all help roll the clouds of unappreciation away and let God's providence shine through. God's got us. God orders our days. He numbers our days. He knows what's coming. He knows what we need to store up now, so we have it when those things come. He's not ever going to get caught off guard, and so we can take a lot of safety in that. We can feel a lot of safety in that and security. So let's work on that this week. I really am going to try to think specifically about those kind of rainy day funds. I'm going to enjoy I've enjoyed some of the rain lately. Not driving in it. That's pretty bad. But just being able to sit on my porch. Sometimes those rainy days just let us sit, don't they? And I was thinking, I have one sunflower that's growing. I planted a whole package. I've told you this before. I planted a whole packet of sunflower seeds along our back fence line, and one grew. And it's growing, and every day I see it orient toward the sun, back and forth. And it's starting to get a little head on it now, so I'm going to start to see a flower soon. And part of me is going to want to just like clip it off and hold it and save it forever. But I think sometimes God makes things that are beautiful but have a short time for us to enjoy them. So we'll stop maybe and slow down and let ourselves focus on those things. That sunflower, when it comes, it's going to be beautiful for a little while. I don't know how long it'll last. But I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. I'm going to take some pictures so I can have them. And then its time will be over and it'll be gone. But I will have had the pleasure of watching it grow and watching it bloom and be beautiful. So sometimes that rain is just an invitation, isn't it? To sit with God and just to say, you know what? Can't do anything outside right now. It's raining, but just sit with me out here for a little bit. Enjoy the fact that I am taking care of my creation and sending water and sending my sunshine. And like I take care of my creation, I will take care of you, because He will. He's got us. He's got us. And His grace is more than sufficient for everything we will ever need. So, with that in mind, go out into the world, splash around in God's grace this week, and remember to start making some deposits in those rainy day funds. See you next time. Bye-bye. There is the dog, not smart enough to come in from the rain. Good grief.